Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year. Welcome to another year of the Elite City Podcast. Before we get started, we'd just like to apologize. We know we promised you guys a holiday show, but the holidays kind of snuck up on us and we ran out of time. So that didn't happen, obviously, but we're back. We're going to be back weekly, and we're doing a special show today. So
yeah, it turns out the end of the year is busy. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier, but
I mean, especially with you, you have a child, and
yeah, I watched the pay-per-view. It was great. I loved it. I thought it was really good.
Very good.
I'm behind on my AEW. I haven't seen Dynamite in like 2 weeks, and not because I don't want to, just I haven't had a chance to.
Yeah, it's all good.
But the pay-per-view was great. But today we're going to talk about something that is timely, but not entirely timely.
Yes. The rumors are rampant that Chris Jericho is probably more than likely gone from AEW and going to end up back in WWE, which, hey, he deserves to go where he wants. I'm just gonna say, don't let the door hit him in the ass, but we're having a little Jericho fatigue on this end, but this show isn't about the fatigue. This is about the positive that he did. And I mean, obviously me and you have talked about it. Probably going to get him his Hall of Fame ring and all that, which is deserved.
Yeah, that would make sense. I feel like, technically he's still on the AEW roster
website.
Right. So they remove people when they're officially gone. So he's still there. So technically he hasn't like left the company as far as we know. The internet rumors are that his contract expired at the end of the year. So like December 31st. So he may not have actually signed with WWE yet, which is why he's still on the AEW website. I don't know.
Right.
But it seems like he's going to appear which would make sense, appear at the Royal Rumble and then have like a run to WrestleMania and then like a retirement run, which good for him.
Totally.
First of all, he deserves it. Second of all, like he did make his name he was in WCW, he's in ECW obviously, but like he made a lot of his name in WWF, WWE. If that's where he wants to retire and he wants to do like the Y2J countdown stuff, like go for it. Like that's good for him. He's had a long, successful career. So yeah, go for it.
And don't forget, he was, what did they call it? When they unified the WCW and the
for a while it was the Undisputed Championship. So he was the very
first.
Technically he was the last WCW champion because that was right before they unified the belts.
Yeah.
He was the first WWF undisputed champion, and he was the first AEW champion. So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I never looked at it that way. Wow. Yeah. So yeah. And before we dive into it real quick, I had, just to go along with the holiday show, I had random questions that I was going to ask, and there's just one that I'm going to do today. So I'm going to ask you, and there's no wrong answer. What is the greatest Killer song?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I know.
All These Things That I've Done, maybe. I really like that.
That's a good one. Mine was Read My Mind.
Oh yeah, that's good too.
Yeah,
those are good.
They are so good. As when we were trying to think of things to do, I was like, oh, I'll just ask random music questions. I'm the music guy. So I was just going to come up with random ones. That one was important. So I had to find out yours. So yeah, I did a little write-up myself. Do you want me to read it now? Do you want to wait a little bit? How do you want to do this?
Yeah, you can do it. It's basically just a recap of everything Jericho did in AEW, which is important. If you didn't know Jericho going into the main part that I want to stress is that like anyone who started watching AEW when it started or heard of AEW when it started, you may not have heard of most of the people involved in AEW. Maybe Cody, but like if you were a lapsed wrestling fan, say you stopped watching wrestling at when WCW went under, which a lot of people did.
Mm-hmm.
If you stopped watching wrestling then, you probably didn't even know Cody, right? You didn't know Kenny Omega, you didn't know the Bucks, you didn't know any of these people, but there's a very good chance you knew Chris Jericho, and that's why him going to AEW was so important.
Yeah. And, if you'll give me about 5 minutes of your time, this is my little homage to Chris Jericho. So without further ado, first off, thank you, Chris. When we talk about AEW becoming a legitimate wrestling company, not a concept, not a hype machine, but a real promotion, it's impossible to ignore the role of Chris Jericho and the part that he played from the very start. The moment that really set the tone was the press conference in Jacksonville. When Jericho walked out, everything changed. Up until that point, AEW was exciting, but it was still theoretical. Jericho's presence instantly told fans, wrestlers, and the industry that this wasn't a vanity project or some internet fantasy. This was a company that a global superstar was willing to attach his name to and legacy, and that legitimized AEW overnight. Jericho just didn't show up for a paycheck. He used his star power strategically. He formed the inner circle and then went on to form later groups. He created a system that consistently put new faces on television every single week. Instead of hoarding the attention for himself, he became a vehicle for exposure. If you were aligned with Jericho, you mattered. And that helped AEW establish depth very early instead of relying on the same few names week after week. He also became the catalyst for AEW being taken seriously by veteran wrestlers and internet wrestling personalities. Jericho signing on sent a message: this place is worth respecting. Vets who were on the fence suddenly paid attention. Analysts stopped dismissing AEW as a mere novelty. His involvement shifted the conversation. That is exactly why Jericho needed to be the first AEW world champion. There was no better choice. The title needed immediate credibility, and Jericho's resume gave it that before the belt ever had a history. Every promo, every defense, every segment helped establish that championship as something meaningful. He wasn't just holding the belt, he was defining its importance. What really separates Jericho's AEW run, though, is that what he didn't do. He didn't play the wrestler card. He didn't try to politically steer the company. He let Tony Khan do things his own way, which is incredibly rare for someone with Jericho's experience. Instead of pushing people around in the back, he supported the vision. Behind the scenes, Jericho became a locker room leader. He showed talent how to work in a weekly television environment. Pacing, timing, camera awareness, promo structure, all the things that don't come naturally to wrestlers who came up on the independents. He didn't hoard the knowledge, he gave it away freely. And most importantly, he checked his ego at the door. Jericho could have demanded special treatment. He could have buried younger talent. He did none of that. He set an example. He wasn't an ass to the rookies. If someone wanted to learn, he was willing to help. That kind of leadership accelerates a company's growth in ways fans don't always see. Just ask Action Andretti. His first match ever on television, he pinned Chris Jericho. Not many vets would do that. Jericho had also clearly motivated by his past. He made a point early on that he wanted AEW to be the exact opposite of his WCW experience. No toxic locker room culture. No politics destroying morale. No veteran protecting spots at the expense of the future. The mindset helped shape AEW's identity in its most fragile years. Without Jericho, AEW still exists, of course, but it moves at a much, much slower pace. The credibility takes longer. The locker room structure takes longer. The respect from the industry takes longer. Jericho compressed years of growing points into a very short window. When AEW's history is looked back on, Chris Jericho won't just be remembered as a former champion or a featured name. He'll be remembered as the one who helped stabilize the foundation, guide the locker room, and legitimize the company when it mattered. He just didn't join AEW. He helped make it real. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it.
Yeah.
I think one thing that you didn't mention that I think is important, it's not necessarily AEW, but it's a precursor. When he left WWE in 2017 and faced Kenny Omega in Japan, that was the first time I watched a New Japan show. I'd watched clips from it. I'd watched, stuff that happened. I knew who Kenny Omega was, but I remember when he left and he was like, I'm going to wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom. I bought that show because I wanted to see it.
That's awesome.
And I think that helped New Japan, but it also helped Kenny Omega. Wrestling fans knew who Kenny Omega was. Yeah. But unless you stayed up till 3 a.m. and watched Japanese wrestling, you didn't see his matches really, right? But when Jericho went, not only was he highlighting New Japan, he was like, this is the guy. This is the hot name. This is the
Yes.
guy that you should be paying attention to. And then that made people pay attention to Kenny Omega, who's obviously awesome. And that helped AEW, because if Kenny Omega wasn't at the level where Kenny Omega was when AEW launched, I don't think it would have worked either. Like,
Very
Jericho
true. Very true.
elevated Kenny to not in the ring. Like, I'm not trying to say like he wasn't a good wrestler.
Right.
He obviously was a great wrestler. But Jericho elevated Kenny so that when AEW launched, you're like, oh, that guy. I've heard of that guy. I've seen that guy. Like, he's good. And this is his company. And oh, Jericho's here too. Like that. He's really set the stage for AEW starting hot.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, as I was like putting all this together, as I said at the beginning, like towards the end, I mean, we've said it on the show a million times, like it did kind of become about him, but I think that's, I don't want to say like that his ego got in the way, because it didn't, because those people were still there. I just think he doesn't know how to transition. Not that he doesn't know how. He doesn't find it easy to transition, like, oh, he's going to pick me. I'm Joe Blow in the back. But 3 weeks after standing next to him, like, I do need to say something every now and again.
Right.
Like, and like, I think that's kind of what happened at the beginning. Like, because you have people like Sammy. I thought he did wonders for Sammy, but then you have like Santana and Ortiz, like they never really wrestled a tag match because they were all, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Anarchy,
yeah, but they were always like his guys. They weren't like a separate team. Yeah. Even like he's always attached himself to, not always, but since he became famous, and he's attached himself to the big name, which like he did with Kenny Omega too. Like, I know this guy's a big name getting a lot of buzz, and that does help elevate you, because you're like, oh, Jericho, who's a superstar, wants to work with this guy. That helps the person.
Yeah.
But the problem is, by the end of AEW, he was just like, the Eddie Kingston one is the one we always talk about. I see Eddie Kingston's getting buzz and he's getting over. I'm going to attach myself to him, which would have been fine to have like a feud with Eddie Kingston. Would have been great. But then it just kept going. Like stuff just kept going for too long. I don't know what it was about, why it had. His problem at the end of AEW was not even the wrestling matches or his character, or it was just everything he did was like twice as long as it needed to be.
Yeah. And like I said, it was more of a fatigue. It wasn't a hatred. It wasn't, it was like, oh, what the hell is he going to do now? Oh, this again? Like, at the beginning, you're right. It was kind of like, I mean, he did the thing with Orange Cassidy, and then he went over here, and then he did this. And
it was moving around. Like he did. It was always the hot name. Like it was Sammy, it was Orange Cassidy, it was like whoever like the big name was at the time, but it was shorter.
That's what.
And then by the end, it got longer.
Yeah.
When you mentioned Sammy, it's weird. This is probably off topic, but it's weird that Sammy, and when they talk about, the 4 pillars of AEW at the beginning, they didn't turn out necessarily as big. Like MJF obviously did, but when you expected, Jack Perry and Sammy and Darby, like you thought they would be like the guys forever. And I think maybe it's because AEW hired a whole bunch of other people after that. Like, to me, it doesn't seem like Sammy became what I thought Sammy would necessarily be at this point.
I
not blaming Jericho for that. Not saying right. Wrong, but
I agree. And now I think, if this would have all fell into place from day one, with Ring of Honor, like if Ring of Honor and AEW would have been bought and put together from day one, what they have Sammy doing in Ring of Honor now is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's what Sammy needed. Like, I mean,
because there was the knock that I always thought he was attached to Jericho for a bit too long.
Well, that too.
Like I think when he split up from Jericho initially, he shouldn't have gone back.
Yes, I agree. Now, like he's a much better promo. I mean, obviously he has it in the ring, but yeah, like the smaller stage and probably a little bit of a less nerve. Like he seems more comfortable there. And now like he's working his way into the world title picture on Ring of Honor. And you slowly see like, okay, when he, like whatever the next step is, like if he goes back to AEW, like he's going to be right in that mid card and it'll make sense.
Yeah.
And he won't need anybody.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, it would be good to see him away from everyone, kind of not not like uninvolved, but like he doesn't need a group
Yes.
or he doesn't need a mentor. Or he doesn't need like
Yeah. Now he's pretty established, and I mean, he is in the LFI, but I mean,
they're like a more loosely associated group. They're not
yeah.
like where they're around each other all the time.
Which now off topic. I really want Andrade to take it back off of Roosh.
Yeah, I want something to happen with them for sure.
I mean, it is his group.
It's weird that they just haven't mentioned it in a while. Like
I know. I always like way back on when Roosh first debuted. Your analogy of Roosh was he came in, he stole Andrade's group, basically took his gimmick and did it better.
Right.
I just always thought that was, and it was. I mean, it really was that.
Now, for Jericho, what do you think? Yes. I have a couple questions. I've kind of some questions to talk about Jericho. What do you think the best thing he did in AEW was? We can talk about the bad things later, but what do you think his best thing in AEW, besides like just being there, like on screen as an angle or a match or a gimmick? What was his best thing?
By far the best thing, and the fact that they did it, was a little bit of the bubbly when they made their own champagne.
That was fun.
That was pro wrestling 101.
Didn't he lose the belt?
Yes.
Yeah, in like real life, he like left it in a restaurant or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say it like a Waffle House or something. It was like not even a nice place.
No, I think it was like a Texas road. It was like a diner.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. And the person, like someone, like they stole it initially and then returned it.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah, when he did the little bit of the bubbly, and then when you were able to order it, I thought that was that was
fun.
That's genius. And then the $5,000 cleaning bill on his jacket from Orange Cassidy. The fact that every week the number got bigger. That to me is what pro wrestling is about, and that's what made it great. Like, and then he just continued to wear it.
I do like that he remembers stuff. Like he brought back that jacket thing like years later.
Yes,
like that was fun. Also, like when he did the feud with Mike Tyson, like he's the only person. Like that's. I remember at the beginning of the AEW, I said that they respect WWE continuity better than WWE does.
Yeah,
because he had a thing like a one-off with Mike Tyson like 10 years ago, where like Mike Tyson turned on him and joined Shawn Michaels or something. And then like 10 years later, Jericho was like, I'm still mad about that. Like he still remembered that was a thing and made that a thing, which I thought was hilarious and fun.
Yes. Well, anytime a wrestler tries to put continuity in wrestling, like it makes it great. Like, you know, whatever Jericho's run is now in WWE, if he ever comes back to AEW, I hope like the very first thing he says is Orange Cassidy, I haven't forgotten. And he pulls out the jacket and it's like from 2019 with you know, he's so good. Anyway,
I also really liked like his feud where he ended up losing the title to Mox. That feud with Mox was great. That was like it happened right before everything shut down for COVID.
Yeah.
And I remember when things shut down, I watched that pay-per-view. It was February 2020. I remember I watched that pay-per-view going, oh man, this like AEW's hot. Like they were hot.
Yeah.
And then obviously it was not the most concerning thing when the world shut down in March 2020. Like but like I remember thinking like, oh man, like they were so hot and what were they going to do now? And like it worked out. They did a great job. But that feud between Jericho and Mox, like that was such a big feud. And it like Mox didn't need to be put over because he was well known already, but like he got put over by that feud. And it was such a like old school thing with like the spike to the eye.
Yeah.
But it was also like it felt very out of the time. It didn't feel like an old school feud. It was really, really good.
See, that's what always drew me to AEW. Like what you just said about the whole spike thing and Mox wearing the patch over his eye and all that stuff. Like that was like done a bajillion times and you get it. But when it hadn't been done in 20 plus years in WWE, like what's old is new again. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like sometimes I kind of like I'm happy that WWE kind of planted their stake in the sports entertainment realm, because if they didn't, pro wrestling would be pro wrestling would be pro wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, so with there being 20 years of WWE or 20 plus years of WWE being sports entertainment, like you can go back on something as simple as my manager was talking to that tag team.
Right.
Now we're mad at them. Like,
Right.
you know,
I mean, that was kind of what what early AEW was like. Cody,
yeah.
I think this is what Cody wanted. And Jericho and Mox, like they're kind of old school type guys.
Mhm.
And I think they kind of wanted it to feel like, 70s and 80s NWA, which it like, but for 2019.
Yes.
Right. Like that's what it felt like at the beginning. It was just really like refreshing and cool. And like, you're right. Like WWE hadn't done that kind of stuff, or mainstream wrestling hadn't done that stuff in 20 years. So like, it's, even if it happened 20 years ago, like it's new for now. Like that was great stuff.
Yeah. Like it's, we seem to forget that, you have to give WWE, we don't give them credit here much, but you have to give them credit in that aspect of finding their own niche.
Right. For sure.
And sticking to it. Whereas,
I think that's why WWE fans are WWE fans. Like they're not necessarily wrestling fans because
yes,
they're WWE fans. WWE is it is its own thing.
Yeah. And when like, when me and you sit down and watch it, we'll laugh at it. I'm just gonna
or get annoyed by it or whatever.
Yeah. and of course we always say, oh my God, it's so slow. Like, what are they doing? They're slow. But if that's what you watch,
then that's what you're used to. Yeah.
That's what you're used to. And that becomes your, you always say it all the time. I forget that there's a whole generation of people that are like 25 years old that only know WWE.
Right. For sure.
Like, so yeah, if that's what you grew up watching, I mean, of course it'd be hard to change, but now there's a legit alternative. It's the opposite of.
And that's so why Jericho and Mox and Cody at the beginning were all so important, because they were, first of all, names you might know if you were a WWE fan.
Absolutely.
And they don't wrestle like the Bucks or Kenny, right? Like they wrestle more of like a WWE, like older, not older, but like a more classic wrestling style.
Yeah.
So if you tuned into AEW and maybe you don't want to see Jack Perry or Darby Allin or the Bucks, like, cause they wrestle, you've never seen wrestling like that before. You don't like it, right? I get that. Like maybe you just don't.
Right.
But Cody did, and Jericho did, and Mox did. And like, oh, you'd be like, oh, that's the wrestling that I know. That feels familiar to me, but in a new way.
Yeah. Like they were kind of doing the WWE style without the handcuffs.
Yeah, like a more aggressive version of the WWE. Like they would bleed, they would do more violent things, but it still felt like the wrestling that you knew of what wrestling was.
And we always talk about, Jericho has reinvented himself time and time and time again, even in the WWE days.
Yeah.
That is just a talent that people in the wrestling industry don't have. I mean, there's guys that are just like Terry Funk was Terry Funk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, I understand that it's hard because that's worked for you for however long, right? You're like, why would you change? Because what if anything doesn't work, right? Like Jericho could have been Y2J with the countdown for 20 years. Like, he could have been. And it might have still worked, but people might have stopped caring. But he was smart enough to realize, I'm going to change what I'm doing right before people stop caring.
Yeah.
Into something different. Like he did it a lot.
And even if it didn't work, it worked.
Right. Or he could transition into something else, right?
Yeah.
Like, I will admit that he annoyed me a ton by the end, but the hey guys thing, like I started finding it funny by the end.
Yeah. And see him, like, I also give him credit because I always say he's very self-aware and he pays attention. Except when it came to people telling him that he was overstepping his time in AEW. Like, I mean, he even patented the Jericho Vortex.
Turning that into a gimmick did not work.
Right.
That was one of those two self-referential things that like you don't need to do. Yeah.
Yeah, he should have taken that as like, oh, okay, I'm stepping on the gas a little too much. Let me pull back. They're expecting me to buy in. Let me pull back. Yeah. But he bought in again. But still, it wasn't, like you said, it kind of grew on us a little bit, but it was still annoying.
In small doses, it was fine. Like they would do like the backstage things with Brian Keith and Big
Bro. That was
funny. If it was like a 2-minute thing backstage, funny. It was a problem when they had like a 15-minute promo in the ring. Like that I didn't care about.
When he had his set with the Jericho apple tree, that was so dumb.
Now you did say correctly. You said, he compressed and accelerated AEW's development, which he did. Like they went from being like a new indie company to a legitimate alternative pretty fast because he was there. Do you think they could have done that without him? Like, would
Yeah.
AEW have launched and been successful without him?
Yes, but when at a very much slower pace. I would say, let's see, I would say we'd be about 5 years behind where we are now.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
so let's see, we're going into year 7. This would be like without Jericho going into year 2.
Right. And like Mox coming would have helped because he's obviously
Right.
assume everything else stayed the same. But I mean, I don't even know if Mox would have come if Jericho didn't, right? Like
Also
if
true. Also
if it
true.
was just because you're right that if it had launched with the Elite, it would have been like the Elite's company, right? This is Cody and the Bucks and Kenny. This is their company. Whereas when it became Jericho, it's like, oh, this is the Elite starting a company with other guys.
Yes.
Which is
that's a great way
an
to
important difference because it wasn't just 5 guys starting like a vanity project. It was them starting an actual company with other people.
Yeah. And like, yes, you had people that, like you said, the first episode, Sammy Guevara comes out. You don't know who the hell that is.
Yeah.
But, you had people like Chris Jericho, you had Jim Ross, you had those people instantly legitimized it, and they were people from your past. So, Tony
Jim Ross
Khan
is another one who was super important to the development of AEW. I don't think it would be where it was without him either.
Yeah, like we forget like that very first episode, like it wasn't, I mean, it was Excalibur, we'll say he was the head commentator, but it was Jim Ross.
Yeah.
It was Jim Ross because nobody knew who the hell Excalibur was,
And what having Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone and Jericho and Cody and Mox, like it felt like, oh, this is a new version of a thing that I know. So it was less scary than like, who are these people? I don't know anyone.
Right. And see, well, that goes back to what I was saying. They'd be about 5 years behind. Like if I knew who the Bucks were, I watched Ring of Honor. I'm stoked on all these people. I'll tell you all the time, dude, you see Matt Taven wrestled, Adam Pearce. You're like, I only heard those names before.
Right. I think it would have been what Ring of Honor was for a long time.
Right.
Ring of Honor was successful. It was a company that people watched, but it wasn't anywhere close to like a national TV deal.
Yeah.
It was like an indie. It was an indie company.
Yeah.
Whereas AEW pretty much jumped from being like, part of that is Tony Khan having a bunch of money and connections.
Also.
But it kind of jumped being an indie company to like being a TV brand.
Yeah. And as we talked about, like starting a wrestling company, the wrestler always weaseled his way into it somehow.
Yeah.
And like that's why I made the point in there, like Jericho, like, I mean, I'm sure in production meetings he might have said, hey Tony, they don't use that camera, they use this type of camera, like,
sure,
trust me on that, oh, okay, Chris, we'll do it that way. But like he didn't come in and be like, all right, here's all my buddies, they're looking for work, these guys need hired, like
and I mean that was the benefit of having him. I mean, because Tony Khan had watched a ton of wrestling, but he never made wrestling.
True.
And the Bucks and Kenny were like wrestlers, great wrestlers, but they never made a TV show, right? So having Jericho and Cody and later and like people and Jim Ross, people who had made wrestling TV before, like there's probably a million things that you wouldn't know about making a wrestling TV show unless you had previously made a wrestling TV show.
Right.
That I'm sure Jericho had to be like, oh, Tony, actually what they do is they cut from this angle to this, that works better. Like it just does. And like he wouldn't have ever known that unless someone like Jericho told him. So the whole development of the company would have been like, I think there's a chance that none of the other people sign on. Like maybe Mox doesn't come, maybe Jim Ross doesn't come, maybe later, Punk and Danielson and Adam Cole, maybe none of them show up if it's just like the Elite's company.
And right, because like, yes, the Elite had like, I mean, obviously Danielson talks about he's wrestled Omega, he's wrestled the Bucks.
Yeah, and I mean they had a ton of buzz and like
but like you're right, leaving WWE to come to, would Danielson have went there like if they were still running shows at like a 300 seat venue?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if they weren't running, like, I mean, yes, they run smaller arena shows, but the daily revenue of that company lets those men and women get paid, Now
that brings us to my controversial question that's slightly Jericho related, but not entirely.
Okay, that's good.
Jericho came when it was nothing, really. It was an idea. It wasn't a company yet. And then Mox came pretty early. Like he probably waited to see that they could be a real company and like host a show, which they had done.
Right.
But then other people like, Punk or Danielson or Adam Copeland or Mercedes, like they showed up. I'm not blaming any of them, but they showed up when it was a company that had like proven that they could run pay-per-views and shows and things like that. Now, AEW is not weekly attendance wise. Pay-per-views are always doing great, but weekly attendance wise, they're not where they were, 4 years ago when Danielson and Punk and them showed up. Like in those days, they were selling, 10,000 tickets, 8,000 tickets to every single show. They were in like NBA, NHL arenas all the time. So it's easy to go to be Adam Copeland and be like, oh yeah, my friends are there. And I could basically do the same thing, just in a different company. Is a big name ever going to do, not ever, but say the next few years, going to do that again now that AEW is, their weekly shows are in smaller buildings? And the buzz around the company is like, they make good TV, they do good wrestling, but they're not a competitor for WWE, which is when Danielson joined, like the view was they could be a competitor to WWE. Like they're getting there. They're potentially going to be a competitor. Whereas now, like they're not, they're an alternative.
Yeah, it's, and I think it would be, I don't think it'll be anybody homegrown. It'll be people that are, that were indie wrestlers at one time that like might know people here. Like, I don't even know anybody in WWE that I could like compare it to. So we'll just say, we'll say like someone like Ethan Page. He was an indie wrestler, but he has like more of a sports entertainment, like, I don't want to say gimmick because I'm not saying he's not an athlete, but like, I'm sorry, I couldn't see Ethan Page in a blood and guts match. Just couldn't.
It's less, he has more, he fits WWE very well.
Right. But I could see him, I don't know, just say he's still stuck in NXT when this contract's up and Tony's like, oh yeah, Ethan, come on back and we'll put you on Dynamite and we'll put you back in that TNT title like we were going to 3 years ago.
Right.
I could see him like someone like that coming back, but never, I don't think you're ever going to see a homegrown, like if there's another John Cena that comes through out of WWE, I don't think, because I don't think they'd be able to cut the mustard. And B, I don't know if the fans would care.
Yeah, I mean, I could see someone like a Bailey coming but that's because of like a personal friendship, right? Like
yes, of course.
Mercedes. But I can't see like a CM Punk, for example.
No, he'll never come back.
Not or anyone like him is what I'm saying. Like he didn't have friends in AEW.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like Danielson, you could say had wrestled, Kenny Omega and them before, but like CM Punk did not have any friends in AEW. Like Adam Cole came because he had friends who wrestled for AEW. Bailey might come because she has friends. Adam Copeland came because of Christian. Right. Yeah. I can't see someone like Mox or Punk who like they're a big name in WWE and they're going to come just because they want to do something different. I could see that happening if they get fired, right? Like if you're Seth Rollins and you get fired from WWE, sure, you'll come to AEW because what else are you going to do?
Right.
But I can't see, like a Seth Rollins going, I'm going to go over there because I think that's more like I want to do that. I can't see that happening.
Unless he has like something up his butt where, he wants to be in a blood and guts match or something. But like you said, like, why would you go and risk that when you could be a top person on TV every week and make the same money and not have to fall off the top of a cage or something?
Because like it or not, AEW is not competition outside of like they can compete for wrestlers, they can compete for salaries, they can. Right. But they're not like WWE sells, 20,000 tickets every week. Like AEW is not anywhere close to that. And not that necessarily is a bad thing, but like they're not competition in that sense. Like when you go from WWE to AEW as a wrestler, you're doing it because you want to wrestle a different way or you want to wrestle particular opponents or you want to have more freedom, not because it's a lateral move.
Correct.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But when Jericho left and when Mox left and when, Danielson left, it was like, oh, this is basically the same level. It's just a different company.
Yeah. And I mean, just to play devil's advocate on that, the salaries are the same, but
Right. The salaries are the same.
the analytics aren't the same.
Right.
But that might mean something to somebody. I mean, we always talk about on here, we're hockey fans. Like, yeah, it'd be awesome to play in the NHL, but I'm sure there's a career minor leaguer that just made a nice living playing hockey and is going to retire one day and be rich. Like,
right.
just because you never, quote unquote, make it to the biggest league doesn't mean you won't be successful.
Right, for sure. But that really kind of does highlight the risk that Jericho took going to AEW.
Absolutely.
Because like Punk or Danielson or Copeland or Mercedes, like when they showed up, it was already a company, right?
Yeah.
Like it was established. They had done shows. You'd seen them sell out pay-per-views. You'd see, like, you were like, oh, this is a real company. Whereas when Jericho showed up, like AEW could have gone under in 6 months.
Yeah. I will never forget. Excuse me. I watched that that initial press conference. I don't know if it was on the Bucks YouTube or if they streamed it on Twitch or maybe the BTE YouTube channel. And I gasped when Jericho walked out because like, I didn't expect anybody like that there. Like, I mean, I expected Cody there because like he was with the elite. Yeah. He was with the elite and like, okay, Cody comes and talks and then, oh, okay, everyone, oh, okay, there's the Bucks. Oh man, and then all of a sudden Chris freaking Jericho walks out and like you said, like he just stamped his name on it. Like,
and he signed with it. It wasn't like he's just there for a match. Right. Like it wasn't just like, oh, I'm gonna wrestle Kenny Omega. It was like, no, he was signing with the company.
Yeah. He was there for the long haul. And that was like, I was literally like, whoa, this is like, that was a big deal.
And it was a huge risk. Cause like, what if they sucked? Right. What if the Bucks and Kenny are, good at wrestling, but they don't know how to run a company? Like that's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Like maybe
or just the fans they misread the fans. Not that many people wanted AEW,
right. Like, oh, maybe, they sold out All In that one show, but like they could only sell one show.
Right.
Say that they could sell another show. Right. You had no idea. Right. Like maybe they did. What was the first? It was like a Fight for the Fallen, right? It was like a free pay-per-view. Before Dynamite. Like, what if no one showed up?
Right.
Or like, what if it sucked? Like, what if like it was just bad? Like, what if people showed up and people watched it online and it was just not good?
Or even if it wasn't their fault, like you have one first impression, like say they got there and there was just a ton of technical difficulties, the feed froze or like all of that could have ruined everything.
And it could have ruined everything. And then you're like, oh, I'm not going to join that. Maybe Mox is like, you know what? I changed my mind.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, this seems too amateur for me. Like it's possible.
Yeah, totally.
So that was a huge risk that he took. I mean, not risk in the sense that he's rich and he could have went back to WWE the next week if he wanted to. Right. But a risk to his like image and his ego and his reputation to do something like that. Yeah.
Like, and it's, rare in this day and age that, a pro wrestler would do that. I mean, Hogan didn't even leave for WCW right away.
Right. Like they had to win him over.
Yeah. Like, and I mean, everybody always said like Bischoff basically had an unlimited checkbook. I mean, he could have just went to WCW and been like, oh, $5 million. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. And then, but like, even he was like, if this ruins my image, I could be screwed.
Right.
He let them make it an established, like they established themselves. They were signing big people and then he went.
I mean, I understand both sides of this. Like,
totally.
Like when they talk about CM Punk, like apparently the Elite approached him to sign with AEW right away, right? Like that was one of the things that they wanted. Like when it started, they wanted him, which obviously that would have been a huge deal,
right?
And he was like, "No, I'm going to wait it out. I'm going to see what happens." Like he's talked later, like I just wanted to know if they were not. Like he goes, "People approach me all the time to do stuff, and like I don't know who they are or what they can do. So like I wasn't going to do it." And Jericho did, but he decided not to. I get both sides of that. One side, Punk being like, I don't know what these guys can run a company. I don't know, want to sign for 2 years with these people, and I don't know what they're capable of doing. But in the same sense, I do understand the Bucks being like, oh, you don't believe in me, like being kind of slighted by that. I get that as well.
True.
Like I can see both sides of him being like, I'm not going to wait till you succeed. And then he's like, oh yeah, you're going to wait till we succeed. Then you're going to jump in and want to be a part of us. Like I get that view as well.
Yeah, I never looked at it that way. That's interesting.
Because I could see them being like, oh yeah, you had no interest in us 2 years ago, but now that we're hot, now you want to jump on. Like, yeah, Jericho showing up was validating and risky, and like, you're right, they would have been something without him. But I don't think they would have attracted any of the other people. I don't know if Mox shows up. Like, I honestly don't. If he showed up on the first pay-per-view, but if Jericho hadn't, but the first pay-per-view was what, like May? It was like May of 2019, right?
Yeah.
But so that press conference was January. So if Jericho doesn't show up at that press conference, does Mox decide to go there? Maybe not, right? You don't know.
Exactly. And like, there's also, the other side of that coin. GCW was just really starting to pick up steam then too.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, ROH was still its own thing, right?
Also true. Yeah. So like, there were options, maybe if Mox didn't want to hurt his reputation,
New Japan was an option. Like, he could have went there.
Like people, we forget, even that there's not just two places, right. But yeah, like, that's a great point. Without Jericho at the very beginning, does Mox show up at the first pay-per-view? Does that lead to the big night with the delete? What the hell's his name? Hardy.
Matt Hardy, yeah.
Matt Hardy, and then the same night the Dark Order guy.
Right, Brody Lee
that passed away. Jeez, I forgot everybody's name in 2 seconds. Yeah, like that was the door that he burst it open himself.
Yeah. And I mean, even like, I'm just looking at his like Wikipedia stuff, like the fact that he feuded with MJF when MJF was like, he feuded with Cody before that, right? But like, MJF was still a young, relatively new guy. The fact that he was like with Jericho pretty soon, like, that helped establish him. Like, they booked MJF really well. They were like, you're going to feud with Cody, then you're going to feud with Chris Jericho, then you're going to feud with CM Punk. Like, that's going to get you over if you're good at it, right? Like, yeah, that was like a make or break scenario. Either if you feud with those three and you still aren't getting over, you're not. Like, it's So he had a role in that, obviously, but they could have had him feud with Sean Spears, and he would have been good at it. But that's not the same as feuding with Chris Jericho.
Yeah, I totally agree.
My 2 more questions.
Yeah.
He's still on the roster. Any chance that like next week he shows up?
I mean, there is always a chance. I'm just gonna say no, because there's too many people in the know, like, basically teasing it. I mean, didn't WWE even say something? Someone might break the walls down.
And I mean, he's clearly one of Meltzer's sources, right?
I mean, obviously the AEW leaks have kind of stopped.
Yeah. So I mean, if Meltzer thinks he's going there, his source is probably Chris Jericho,
right? So. Now, here's my question for you: how long until Triple H, CM Punk, and Chris Jericho get in a fight?
Yeah, I want to know what they do. I know that like Punk's on his best behavior because he's like, this is my last chance. Like, no one's ever gonna hire. If I flame out here, that's it. Like, I'm never wrestling anywhere else again. Like, you're not gonna hire a guy who's flamed out of 3 companies in a row, right? So like, yeah. So he's on his best behavior, but like, Jericho, I'm sure, is annoying if he wants to be, right? So like,
that's what I was just gonna say.
Is a jerk, right?
Yeah. So, yeah. So
like, how much will it take for Jericho to come back and like just take little shots at them until one of them flips out? Like, it's possible, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, the hi guys annoyed us every week. Like, day one, if Triple H is like, dude, that was the most annoying shit. Don't ever do that on my television show. And then he's gonna go out and go, hi everybody, did you miss me?
Or like say something about, maybe they put him in a feud with Punk and he says something about like the Bucks that he's not supposed to. Yeah. Like, isn't scripted. Like, Punk flew off the handle when Hangman said one small thing that most people didn't even notice was a shot at him. And
right.
So if he flew off the handle at that, like, Jericho could probably make him fly off the handle if he wants to. Right? Like,
yeah, like, they still gonna have to bite someone else. Like, if Jericho would ever say anything like that, I would never say another bad word about Chris Jericho again.
Now, I don't think he's coming back soon. Do you think he ever comes back? Like, do you think he has a retirement run with WWE? It lasts 2 years. He goes to the Hall of Fame. He does a bunch of, media appearances. And then, like, 2 years from now, does he come back? Yes. Not as a wrestler, but like as something.
Yeah, like he'll come back as a trainer, as a um even a commentator. Like I know Shivani said, he's like Jim Ross, he's just doing it year to year contracts.
Right.
So there is going to be a time when either Tony Khan or Tony Schiavone doesn't re-up the contract. You know what I
Right.
mean? So they will need a commentator. And Jericho's great on commentary.
Yeah, like Jim Ross isn't doing commentary forever either. Like they're
Right.
eventually leaving.
Yeah.
Like,
so, and then you have to add, like you say, 2 to 3 years to that. So yeah, if he would come back as I could see him coming back as a commentator, or just maybe even just a coach or producer. Maybe you don't
I could
even
see
see
like
him.
2019 they start. So 2029 would be like the 10-year anniversary of AEW.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them like launching a Hall of Fame at that point. Because been around for 10 years. So like that's a good time to launch a Hall of Fame. I could see them launching a Hall of Fame and him being inducted into that.
Yes. Totally. Oh, when the Hall of Fame comes, or whatever they're going to call it, Jericho he'll be in it. Well, I was going to say even if he is signed, but they probably wouldn't let him accept.
They wouldn't let him. Yeah.
I mean, they might let him.
Speaking of that just reminded me of something. I don't know if you remember this. You remember when Jericho had, I forget after what pay-per-view it was, like he was no longer AEW champion. He'd lost it to Mox, so it was around that time frame.
Okay.
Remember when WWE Stone Cold had him on WWE on his podcast, like on the WWE network?
Oh yeah.
That was really weird.
I forgot about that.
Vince McMahon had this weird thing with Jericho. I remember when Jericho tells it, like he called Vince and was like, "I'm gonna go wrestle in New Japan."
Yeah,
and he's like, "Yeah, sure." And then he's like, "I'm gonna go do this cruise with a bunch of wrestlers. Can I have WWE guys on it?" And they said no. And then like, Ring of Honor, I think, said yes. And he was like, "So I'm gonna do this stuff with Ring of Honor." And Vince McMahon was like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "I'm gonna go join this other company." And Vince McMahon was like, "Yeah, sure." And then like a month later was like, "Actually, no." And he's like, "Well, now it's too late."
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I signed a contract.
So like Vince had this weird thing with only Jericho where he like allowed him to do other stuff, which was very odd because like he doesn't allow anything.
Right.
So the fact that he was on Stone Cold's podcast, I want to look up when this was. It was 2021. Yeah, April 2021, because I know it was right after WrestleMania. So it was right after WWE had WrestleMania, and in April 2021, they were back to having crowds again. And Jericho had not yet done the Jericho appreciation thing. Like he was just doing his Inner Circle stuff still. Okay. They just had the stuff with the Pinnacle and that feud at Double or Nothing. All that stuff was happening. But I remember they had him on and he like talked about AEW. He was like talking about like MJF and like Sammy Guevara, I think. Like he mentioned stuff that he did in AEW. And like that's when I kind of thought, like, does Vince McMahon not know that he's actually in another company doing other things? like did Jericho tell him 2 years earlier, "I gotta go join this other company," and Vince like didn't remember or forgot, like, and then was just like, "Oh, Stone Cold was like, I want Jericho on my podcast," and Vince is like, "Yeah, sure," forgetting that he like worked for this other company. Like that was weird.
Yeah, it really was. Wow.
And it was good. Like it was a good interview. Like they actually
it was.
About
yes,
stuff,
it was.
right. Like they actually talked about like it was weird, but yeah, it was cool. Jericho is, if they do a Hall of Fame, he's like first ballot Hall of Fame. Like he's in the first class of the Hall of Fame for sure.
Definitely. And I mean, like I said at the beginning, like, yeah, there was some Jericho fatigue in there, but you can't really deny what he did for the company. I mean, do you have any closing thoughts here, my friend?
No, I just want to see what big name he attaches himself to in WWE and how long that feud lasts, because that'll be interesting. If he's like, if you know how when Punk showed up back in WWE, he was like, they're going to make him work the way they work.
Yeah.
Like, are they going to make Jericho be who they want Jericho to be, or is Jericho going to have some leeway? I'm curious. I do want to see him in WWE. I want to see what he does. Like, I'm not going to watch their shows weekly, but like, I'll watch it on YouTube.
I would hope they would give him creative, freedom. Yeah. But I there's so many producers, like what is freedom
Right.
in WWE? You know what I mean? Like you have network executives and then you have TKO executives like, oh no, you can't say anything bad about Pepsi. They're a sponsor of the second
Right.
hour. Like, like how much really freedom is there? But I would love to see him do something that's not a cardboard cutout or cookie cutter Jericho. I hope he gets to do something.
I mean, like, I think with some of the bigger, more established names like Punk or Cody or Roman Reigns, or like they don't script their promos word for word like they do for a lot of everyone else. I think with the bigger names, they're like, you have to hit these 10 points. So
that makes sense.
At least they'll give him that. I'm
Yeah.
assuming they won't like write out everything he has to say because that would be stupid. But you never know. So we'll see.
And I really, 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 really hope like he does something like if he brings back the list, like I want it to be sponsored by like the Bic Pen Corporation.
That would be really funny.
It would be like or just have like a giant 3M notebook.
I want to see him sponsor every aspect of it. The notebook sponsored by someone, the pen is sponsored by someone. In the middle of talking about the list, he's like, now for a break from our sponsors. Like that would be really funny.
Yeah, like if he would do something like that, like this week's list is brought to you by Burger King, and you just made the list.
That would be good.
That would be amazing. Anyways, any final thoughts?
No, we'll be back to hopefully I'll catch up on my AEW and we'll be back to like talking about the current product soon. But we did want to talk about Jericho because by the time you hear this, he might be on. Maybe he's on SmackDown today. I have no idea. Right, so we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, it needed to be said. It needed, like I said, we gave him a lot of flack towards the end, but we did need to give him his flowers.
Yeah, he's one of the most important people in like AEW's history.
Yeah, and if you don't believe that, then you didn't watch the shows at the beginning, or you don't know what you're talking about, because he was instrumental in basically everything.
Like there's a chance you had no idea what the wrestling landscape was at the time. Maybe you started watching AEW last year, right? So you don't know, but he was a huge part.
Yeah, and the one thing I even left out, I mean, I'll just button it up real quick. I mean, he was even Ring of Honor champion when they were shopping Ring of Honor around.
Yeah.
And it didn't turn into anything positive for Ring of Honor. They didn't get them a TV deal, but it probably helped them as opposed to like no offense against Bandito. I think Bandito is a great champion, but nobody knows who the hell Bandito is.
Right. It was weird that he was in Ring of Honor, but never really on Ring of Honor. That was weird. But
yeah, it was to get the TV deal, but that didn't pan out, but whatever. But anyways, thank you everybody. We are at Elite City Pod on all of social media. We're there. So drop us questions if you have any, and we'll answer them. Also at Elite City Pod on YouTube, thumbs up, make sure you leave a comment there. It helps the algorithm. It helps us out. And please, when we post our links every week, feel free to, retweet, resub, whatever, rethread, sorry, not resub, do all that. It helps us out and gets more people listening. So, before we go, thank you everybody for a great 2025. We had fun doing this. We're going to keep doing this. We enjoy it. So, thank you again. And we'll be back next week with what's it called? Maximum Carnage or something like that. So, yes. Yeah. With the Maximum Carnage review. Since there's no pay-per-view, we're just going to review the special Dynamite. So, have a good week, everybody. Enjoy Collision tomorrow and enjoy Dynamite on Wednesday. So till next week. Later.